Recently, popular YouTuber Reid Captain published a video showing his hero's journey attempting to land on Gilly and return to Kerbin using only Mark 0 parts. I was inspired by his results, and I decided to take it up a notch by adding an extra condition of no ion engines. Full disclosure, I failed a bunch of times in an effort to identify a good balance between beefcake and excellence. But along the way, I was able to achieve something I've never done before. Interplanetary aerobraking in a manned craft without a cockpit. That's right, Jeb and his trusty onboard SAS successfully performed a series of aerobraking maneuvers to capture into a stable Kerbin orbit on the return trip from Eve. And he did it all with just a command chair and a stack of Mark 0 parts. Those are the little ones. Let's dive in and see how. This footage is edited down from a single take. There are no saved games or retries here. For the first stage, we use a Falcon 9 configuration of spark engines assisted by 18 Mark 0 SRBs tuned for combined thrust-to-weight ratio of about 1.3. The SRBs are jettisoned as soon as they run out of fuel, leaving about 250 meters per second of remaining delta V as the craft climbs slowly out of the thick atmosphere. The second stage has 4 sparks and 12 smaller Mark 0 SRBs. I guess I can stop saying Mark 0. This stage has similar tuning to the first, with the SRBs ejected when they run out of fuel, shortly before the liquid engines also run out of fuel. This brings our vehicle nearly up to a low orbit, where it uses the third and final stage equipped with a single spark engine to ascend to stable orbit. Now, in real life, we would wait for the transfer orbit before the launch, but here we hang out in stable orbit for a little more than a year waiting for a favorable transfer alignment with our destination. With the planets literally aligned, we can chart a maneuver taking us directly into an Eve encounter from low Kerbin orbit. That is, we could, but it takes more effort in the fine adjustment, and I was lazy. I used an in-transit adjustment maneuver at the descending node to align the inclination to make the Eve encounter easier to nudge. Before arriving in the Eve system, I invested a little more delta V to align the craft with Gilly's ecliptic plane, again making the encounter easier to find. Eve's hefty mass makes it easy to capture when coming in from interplanetary transfer. Just a couple hundred meters per second retrograde burn brings our apoapsis from infinity into a stable and highly elliptical orbit around Eve. Then a quick inclination burn for easier encounter planning. And boom, we have an encounter with Gilly. Time warp is not your friend here. You'll blow right past the mark without special attention. Also, in contrast to Eve, Gilly is a tiny asteroid. Stable orbits at 8 kilometers above the surface are in the 20 meters per second range. Basically slow highway speed. Traditional tactics are meaningless, so I aimed at the center of mass and tried to maintain orbital speed straight down to avoid boredom. Turns out it takes a long time to fall 4 kilometers at slow highway speed, even at 4x time warp. So we land, we express gratitude, we place flag, we rejoice for kind of a while. I timed the launch from Gilly's surface to put the vehicle into a Gilly-like orbit around Eve, where I could wait almost 2 years to plan the return transfer orbit to Kerbin. From here, we only need about 400 meters per second of delta V for a transfer orbit and in-flight correction burn of another 400, and we have ourselves a Kerbin periapsis just outside Atmo. Again, a small retrograde burn brings our Kerbin apoapsis down to a stable, highly elliptical state, where we can use the upper atmosphere to bleed off more energy. Once again, this is amazing, as we're doing it with just a spacesuit and effectively duct tape and hope, Mark Watney style. This is why we eked out every bit of fuel to have some left over to keep Jeb from melting in the wind as he makes his convertible car space dreams a reality. After enduring some heavy G-forces, re-entering the atmosphere, thanks to some aero brakes, he's ready to pull the ripcord and go home. After 4 years in space, he's really, really hungry. But he should be proud. He achieved an interplanetary mission using the smallest engines available, and he did it on hard mode, without ion engines. I'm looking at you, Reid Captain. Well done, Jeb. Well, that's all I have for you today. If you like KSP videos, check out my other channel, Kerbalism, which dives deep into asteroid mining and building complex structures in space. This is Aubranium. Thanks for watching.